Hi, my name's Shawn. That's Chris
What is the
Ford,
theme
aka the
song to
Objective
Ted
Geek.
Lasso like? It's always like, hey.
I and,
I'm butchering it.
and man, I didn't think about this at all. I
God
got our
only
cameras
knows
just covering
I
everything up.
try.
It's a good little theme song. Hey, let me rearrange our cameras here. We'll just be real small. We'll be real small this episode. There, right there,
No, we don't
though.
have to be small. It's fine. They can see it's
They,
Atlip season 2 review.
did you say Atlip?
That's how I say it in my
Gee, no
head.
kidding. I like saying it like an acronym. It reminds me of my Payless days when we had acronyms for
Yeah, but
literally
there's no
everything.
acronym. But there was like a rule, except for Slim, that you can't make acronyms longer than three.
That's that's a good rule because it gets a little crazy after. Let's just cover up Ted himself over here. He's just drinking tea. He don't even like tea. And hi, my name is Shawn. That's my friend Chris
That's
Ford.
right.
He was trying his best to sing the theme song, but uh,
God only
if you
knows I
if you play
try.
it, we can sing it like we've heard it enough times. But if you just try to call us out here solo, what do you call it? Acapella? Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, acapella.
That's not our
I
strength.
go acapella. F for Papa Dot, F for Clock, F for Trailer, F for everybody.
I
If
think
y'all guys don't like me, I'm a piece of white trash. I say it proudly. Here, I don't want to win. I'm outie. Tell these people something they don't already know about me. Boom.
I cannot think of a more appropriate intro than this review of a white male person in London. I think that's really sums it up perfectly. My name's Shawn. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek, and we're getting to the time of year where stuff starts to get just a little bit crazy. So we're gonna throw a curveball at you and do a one-off here, just a shorty, a filler episode that we can pre-record and plug in. And I like to be transparent and apologize in advance if you're not a fan of those, but unfortunately life happens. So we're trying to plan ahead a little bit. And also, we really like this show, so we at least wanted to dedicate a few minutes to telling you about it. Chris, any thoughts you'd like to share before we jump into like a really high, super high vanilla summary?
Go watch Ted Lasso. It's very wholesome content that might hit you in the feels every now and then, but it's good. It's a good hit.
I'm going to stand by what we said last time, which, and my opinion on it changed slightly, but the idea that it's not that anybody's out there sort of crowning it the best show of all time, but it just, you won't find many people that don't find a few things they like in here, right? Like, I've yet
Yeah.
to see anybody be like, I didn't like that at all. No, I think there's quite a bit for most television watchers in here. So, building on what Chris said, yes, if you're most people, go watch Ted Lasso. That's a good opener. Chris, I don't have anything fancy set up for this. I figured I would offer a really high level overview, and then we'll have you lead us through some pros and cons and some discourse there, and then we'll give a rating out of 10. Not quite like our normal rating, just a rating out of 10, and we'll call it a day. So the crux of Ted Lasso season 2 is that the team, which is normally a Premier League team, the record was bad
Whatever that
enough.
means.
But Premier League is the premier, obviously. But then this league is called the Championship League, which is very misleading because is Championship worse than Premier? That's weird. Anyway, they got relegated from the best league to the second best league because in soccer, if you finish in the top couple of teams and then you get promoted, or the bottom couple of teams you get relegated. So in season 1, they finished at the bottom of the league or the bottom 2 or whatever. They get relegated. That's really bad for everybody financially and socially and all that stuff. It's a really big deal, and they hate it. And so season 2 is they're kind of digging out of that hole as a soccer club, and then you got a lot of Ted himself dealing with some panic attacks and anxiety issues, so trying to dig himself out of an emotional hole, and also just trying to finally start seeing some like tangible, real progressive growth from characters with some kind of payoff at the end. Like we
Mm.
get really good character dynamics in season 1. In season
Yeah.
2, it sort of turns a corner into some actual growth and some real payoff, a little feel good type stuff at the end. And I think that's about as much as in depth as I care to go in
No,
an
that was good.
overview.
Okay, so pros. Pros. Like you, I completely agree with what you just said that we got a lot of character dynamic build up in the first season. I feel like this season was to test those dynamics and to send these characters on some character development, and that's what I enjoyed the most about this season. I feel like every main character got some good character growth, and some of it might seem like some degrowth because Ted, he's dealing with his anxiety issues, which I think is just so important because we all get anxiety every now and then.
It's not that
Some
it
of
gets
us is
worse
it.
either. We just see more of the demons or whatever you want to call it. So
Yeah,
in his
because he
case, it's
has
not even
yeah,
degrowth. It just more doors
and it's
open.
more yeah, and it's more upfront. It's more impacting him. Like the last time I saw him have a panic attack, he was just at a party, and Rebecca helped him through it. This time it's like in the middle of a game, and the most important moment of this game, he has a panic attack. He has to leave, and I really enjoyed seeing this character do that. I think what the show does really well, and something that Avatar does really well, is that you have male characters that redefine what it means in pop culture to be a man. Like like in the '90s and early 2000s, like to be a man, the manly man character is like you don't cry, you're tough,
We had
emotions are
a whole ass show called Johnny Bravo, for heaven's sake. And
I
that's the
watched Johnny Bravo.
'90s. That's male '90s. Hey, I watched it too. I'm not bashing it.
Yeah.
But
What was this catchphrase? Somebody hit me. Somebody
somebody
no
slap me, pinch me. What did he
hurt me.
say? Pinch?
I don't know.
I don't remember what he said. I didn't love it. I watched a bit. I was a
No,
Nickelodeon
I didn't
guy
love it.
over Cartoon Network.
What was I? I mean, oh crap! I gotta move.
We've been, for those wondering, Chris and I have been recording long enough this evening. His phone's about to die, so he has to relocate near one of the few outlets in his basement that work because of
Yeah,
shorted
because
because
of
of a
a
shorted wire in a wall.
potential house fire that I prevented.
Chris is a real life superhero because he saved all of his family's lives, and not in the heat of the moment, but like a good superhero as well in advance of disaster. Good work, Chris. Good work.
Yeah, preventative stuff.
Yeah, that's real superhero work right there.
Uh, Dang, I forgot what I was about to say.
You were working on prose, and we were talking a little bit about maybe a little bit of character movement, even if not always in the positive.
Yes, yeah. So just like with Avatar, I think with like characters like Iroh and Aang, like those are two guys who are like very much up in their feelings, and I feel like Ted is very much the same.
His feels so real. It's written, at least his part, maybe not every part, but at least his part is written so well that what he's going with and the way that he's coping with it feels so tangible.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, and he hides it a little bit. Oh, his therapy is, and I love that. One of the issues that I thought I was gonna have watching like the first couple of episodes of the show was that he was too good of a character, and he was gonna be like so perfect. It was gonna be too annoying.
That would have lent
Right.
itself better to like just a pure comedy of just this is a
Exactly.
character and
Yeah.
this is his level where he's at
And
forever.
yeah, and everyone is reacting to him, but no, he's not perfect. Like him dealing with that therapist, he he liked the therapist as a person, but he was mean to her often. Like he told her like you do this for money, like screw you to a certain point, screw your job. And then she comes back, she's like, you love coaching, right? He's like, yeah. And she's like, would you do it for free? And he's like, no. And she's like, why would I do my job for free? Like, yeah, like if you're good at something, as the Joker says, if you're good at something, never do it for
Never
free.
do it for free, absolutely. That's one of Joker's classier business mottos.
That you should actually maybe take some advice from.
We got to
Most
put
most of the
food on the
time,
table.
most of the time you should not take advice from the Joker.
Most time, especially where relationships are concerned.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed seeing him not only be fragile but be upset in certain parts. So Ted's character growth or degrowth, really, I think growth because by the end of it, he's not done working through this. He accepts it and he knows he has to continue to work on it. So really, that was the highlight of the season for me.
I think
Um, oh,
I mean, I agree absolutely with all the above. And then I think to the pros of this season, especially relative to the previous, is you do want to see some progress. And you've even told me before, whatever the creator of this show's name is, I can't
Bill
think of it.
Lawrence.
Right, the Scrubs guy. And
Yes.
you've mentioned before him saying it's like it's not their intention just to break people's hearts. It's not supposed to be like an HBO drama or something like that. And in this season, you get to feel that progressively, tangibly on the soccer field and in people's relationships and like that. And that's good. I need that personally. I can't handle too much drama and negativity. So I'm going to count that as a pro.
Hmm.
It's not a fairy tale, but it feels like real positivity. And then Chris, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit to a favorite moment. So a pro, but
Great.
in a single favorite moment of the whole series of the whole season. And everybody else is going to think this is stupid, but I love it. It's one of the later episodes where Roy, like, kind of indirectly seeks help from his Diamond Dog buddies.
Yeah.
And he mentions that, like, he got cut out of all these photos from this photo shoot of him and Keely. And he says, it hurt my feeling. And if I heard him right, he says it's singular. And Heather laughed so hard. The real joy it brought to my heart was to hear my wife laugh. So, like, we laugh a lot in my house, but it's such a deep, full, like, long laugh, because I say that to her all the time. I say, like, I don't like to feel feelings, or like I can only handle one feeling at a time, or hey, that puts my one feeling at conflict. And so when he said it singular, and she, like, looked at me and made eye contact, she's like, he just said it singular. I get that. And so that moment, to me, in a very personal way, was a favorite so far.
Yeah. To piggyback on yours, I love Roy. I love Roy Kent last year.
Mm-hmm.
But last year he was like not. He was far more stubborn last year. He wasn't making as much growth, and this year he's just made tons of growth. Like he was able to forgive Jamie for stuff that he did.
I love it when he just yells the F-bomb and walks out of the room, and Jamie's just like...
Him saying, oh yeah, he's my favorite person here. Like, sure, I can't watch the show around my kids. I'll accept. Like, I am somewhat of a I don't know. You can call me a geek, a nerd, a goody two shoe, but I'm not a fan of cursing for no reason. But there's reason, I think, in Roy Kent, because it's just funny when
done
he
artistically. Some of it in this
like
show is not artistic at all, but
he makes me want to curse, and I don't curse.
He is. I also think he's a really good portrayal. Chris and I both having some invested interest, not in soccer, but in sports, and in very specific handful of players. By the way, Ted Lasso leaving the field for the quote-unquote bathroom as the excuse made me think of the Paul Pierce bathroom game.
Did he end up saying he had to poop?
I think that's what did he say? Did he say that he just peed? He's still denying that he, like, pooped his pants or anything like that. He's just saying that he did pee, but don't quote me on that exactly, but something in that border.
Yeah.
But they actually, I think this is a good portrayal of Roy Kent going from, like, he knew he wasn't superhuman, retirement was coming, but this is like the sort of emotional transition of like an acceptance of the next things and the next steps that he goes through, a big up and a down several times in the season. And I don't know if it's accurate. I'm not an athlete, but it feels, again, like a tangible way that I might feel in the same position.
He's great. He really is good.
He is. Don't watch it by your kids. Absolutely not. His relationship with Phoebe, too.
But he's also
hits my heart.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
What does he tell the kids when he's like, "Don't eat the orange peels, you monsters," or whatever the hell he said? Don't eat the peels, you monsters.
And I'm kind of forgetting how Bill Lawrence works, because I've watched Scrubs so many times that nothing surprises me. And sometimes I forget about, like, when I initially watched it, how I felt. He can twist the audience a little bit, but I feel like he's always gonna land a plane in a good spot. Like, there are times where, like, we knew that JD and Ellie were going to end up together, but they did so much crap to each other along the way that you didn't think, like, oh no, they're really done now.
You might have accidentally unplugged your microphone again, but for what it's worth, it doesn't sound bad, if that makes sense. Either way.
That's fun.
Yeah, like that. You know that there's like, I don't want to say the happy ending, maybe the ending that you're looking for, but it still has like the real speed bumps and stuff. Like it doesn't. It's not a fairy tale. It's not scot free. And I like that.
Yeah.
I want the gratification at the end of my shows. I know not everybody's that way. But yeah,
I
I'm
know.
okay with hitting some of those bumps, serious bumps, along the way.
Another small thing. I feel like Jamie has come up such a long way. Also, like just the fact that he was able to like open up to Roy and want to be coached by Roy. Like it takes a lot for Jamie to be like, "Hey, I want you to coach me," and Roy's like, "F off." It's like I want to be a better player, and you can make me a better player. Like that takes a lot of humility that he did not have last season.
I even like that it doesn't feel like he's saying it from an authentic place, because that's how it, like, everything takes practice, even that apologizing or being humble, or everything takes practice in life. And that's him like, I don't want to do this, but I think it's the right thing to do big picture, so I'm going to go say it, and it's going to come as like, I want you to coach me. And it's very well acted in the sense of like, I mean it, but I don't want to mean it or whatever. And it comes out good.
Yeah,
It's really
yeah,
well.
exactly.
There's some very good act. There's some bad acting in here. Not awful acting in places, but there's a lot of excellent acting
Yeah, I
in
mean it's
here.
not supposed to be like I don't know, really like
It's
there's
not
supposed to be
a what's
some.
the TV awards? I don't even know what the TV awards would be called. It's not that, but
I mean it is. I mean they've won awards.
well,
Like
I hope
they
some of it is
swept.
great. But I'm trying to think
No, they
what's the equivalent of being
oh
like
some of it.
of like a dramatic
Emmy,
of like
an
Oscar
Emmy,
bait. It's not like an
an
Oscar
Emmy.
bait movie version of a TV show.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that they do win the TV equivalent of Oscars. Like
Good. Good.
they swept the Emmys. The person who plays Roy Kent won. Jason Sudeikis won for Best Actor.
Jason
The guy
Sudeikis
who,
need to. His range in this show,
oh gosh, it's
it's a
good.
little extreme on both ends, but he pulls off. I
Yeah.
mean, he pulls it off so well that he's
It's
knocking
like,
it out of
what
the
if
park.
Mr. Rogers? What if we really peeled the curtain back on Mr. Rogers? Because we know Mr. Rogers' life probably wasn't all great. Like there had to be some issues there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I don't know. When I see Jason again, it's probably a little to the extreme on the goofy happy side. Like, how many people do you actually know like that or whatever? But he makes it feel really real on both sides of the spectrum of the Ted character,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah,
something that I would have thought Jason Sudeikis could pull off prior
yeah,
to this TV series.
yeah. So the actor who played Roy Kent won Best Supporting Actor, and the actress who plays Rebecca, I'm sorry, I did not remember her name. She won Best Supporting Actress, I think, also. Which
Good.
interesting enough, she was the one in Game of Thrones who was ringing the bell, yelling shame.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
That's
like she's
awesome.
come along. That's a good rise right there.
That's a big leap. She should
Yeah.
have been singing the word shame, just
Holy
judging by the
crap,
singing voice.
Shawn! Like, so a couple
That's
episodes.
really her.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like I was watching the Christmas episode because they had her sing "Let It Go,"
Hmm?
and then at first I was like,
It's a
"Oh,
good
okay,
touch.
that's good." And then she sung in the Christmas episode. And I was like, "Oh, this is really good." And then in my head, like I thought to myself, "Okay, Bill Lawrence is gonna find a way to get her to sing like every episode." I say that jokingly to myself, and then like the next episode, she's singing again, and
The
it's like, "All
funeral
right,
one
this is
was so weird and janky, and yet
yeah,
I probably shed. I think I said this before. I well up. I'm not trying to pretend I'm like too masculine. My eyes well up with tears a lot. I rarely cry, but I super welled up here. Like they were almost rolling. It didn't quite roll,
yeah."
but the funeral episode, it was so janky and weird, but I loved it. Loved every second of
Yeah.
it.
But real quick, so I loved her performance. That was another pro. And actually, I really love that she is. I love the good Rebecca way more than the evil, manipulative Rebecca. Like
Same.
it's so much better. Um, but real quick to get back to you on like moments that made you tear up. Like I was crying. I don't know if I'll say crying enough when Roy uh, comforts Jamie in that episode. Like I tweeted out like the picture of Cora at the end of season 3 in the wheelchair. And like this is me watching this episode. I believe it was called Man City of Ted Lasso
That's
at the end of the
yeah.
episode.
that one. Oh, Roy, stop it!
Like,
You're killing me.
yeah, that was great.
Um,
Um,
yeah,
so a lot.
that would be up there.
Yeah.
We are gushing a bit though. We got to do some cons. It's
That's
great,
true.
but there's some cons, and we're gushing a lot. Do you want to
All
lead
right, Sean,
with?
let's just go ahead and there's probably a big elephant in the room for
Yeah,
everybody.
absolutely.
Let's talk about. Let's talk about Nate.
Nathan, not so great.
And I don't. Again, I'm gonna preface by saying that I don't think it's a con per se. It's the thing I like the less about this season, but just to be objective,
A
just
relative
because.
con, a relative negative.
Sure, really. Just because, and I think this is about all fiction. Just because you don't, as a viewer, you don't like something, doesn't mean it's bad or doesn't mean it's bad writing. And Nate's fall to the dark side, to me, is actually some good writing there, especially if you dig deep and look in a lot of stuff. Um, like the actor after the season was over was saying like, oh, there were so many different microaggressions throughout the season that really got to Nate and kept building and building and building. Like, sure, they seem like small things to Ted and small things to everyone else, but he was internalizing all of that. And then we see how his relationship with his parents are and how that really informs his upbringing and his personality, especially before and after kind of his mild success. There's one really interesting piece because he confronts Ted. He's like, "I gave you that picture, and you did nothing with it." He doesn't know that that picture is in Ted's room. That's the picture of Ted's son. Like it's not like he doesn't know. It's that to me that's really good storytelling. It's
It's
like
perceived microaggression.
it's exactly, yeah.
I would say I'm gonna build on that con and wrap in some other things. There's a few things that I would say I think they're probably taken just a hair too far to extremes.
Okay.
So the Ghanaian,
Ghana.
Ghanan. How would you
I don't know.
like a person who is from Ghana?
I want to say Ghanan.
Ghanan. That gentleman. Like when his random hissy fit is kind of too much for me, or some of his
I
diatribe
loved it
with
for some
Sam,
reason.
and so it's not that it was bad. It just like a hair more extreme than I would have taken it personally.
It
And then
for a show that you can fall in the illusion that it is fairly realistic. It went unrealistic with his reaction, but I think because I know Bill Lawrence, like I'm not expecting everything to fit within this realistic mold, and so
it,
I don't know. It wasn't as alarming.
I still laughed, and I'm just trying to, again, we're talking relative cons. Let's keep that in
Yeah.
context here.
Okay.
But then his character as a whole, too, was kind of extreme on both ends, like through his whole diatribe and all the actors and everything. Like, he was just kind of a little overdone as a character. I would say that Nate's, well, I guess I would say I'm going to try to grow as a person, be more observant and stuff. I would have said before you just told me this right now, I was like, I still felt that Nate's turn was overdone. But it's like, you know what? Maybe it really does merit me watching a second time and trying to pay extra close attention to those things from a Nate perspective. Because yeah, after the first watching, absolutely up until literally 2 minutes ago, I think it's a hair overdone. But if you watch it another time, maybe it's a little warranted. And then the Beard thing, I don't not like Beard as a character. I actually very much enjoy Beard as a character, but sometimes
I
he exists as a plot device, and then the one episode
Yeah,
where they gave him kind of his own episode was my least favorite episode of the
that
series.
was not my favorite episode, and so
Yeah,
many
so
people love that episode.
I didn't.
And I remember starting to watch. I'm like, I don't get the love of this
I was
episode.
kind of bored by
Like,
the end, honestly. It had a nice turn at the end. I thought that was a nice touch.
yeah, I could not watch. I could go without
Yeah.
watching that episode. I mean, I like what he did for those fans. I like those three fans for some reason.
I
Uh,
thought that was really entertaining that they got like a little, but
yeah,
it was a boring episode. It wasn't my favorite episode.
I fairly agree with that.
And then Beard himself he is a necessary, and it's again we got to keep relative in mind here, but he is kind of a plot device. A lot like the show could not function without this one guy who happens to be a very strong sort of arbitrator and mediator, and then it feels like they had to try to make him a little more or fill
He
in some more
wants
of this back, or
add something in there.
where it
Yeah.
did. I don't know if it needed it. I'm fine with the mystery of him just kind of being weird off on the side and never really knowing what. I would have been totally fine never knowing those things, but those would be my cons. Of just a few things kind of taken maybe a little more extreme. Beard, the businessman, maybe Nate. I'll rewatch it at some point when we find a third email address to ruin. I'll rewatch both seasons. I've got a burner email.
I still have it.
I've got
I
the
didn't
last.
I didn't do the 1 week. I was off like probably by like 5 hours to do the
Okay.
1 week thing.
Well, then you just want to keep
So I
it for a
still have
month,
it.
right?
Yeah. So you got a
Okay.
month.
You know, I thought that I watched it on like a Sunday or something when it felt like it should have been done, and it didn't. Anyway,
It's worth the price. It's like, hey,
it's like
$5
$5.
for us both to rent a
We're gonna get
season at
$5
a
out of
minimum.
rewatching this
Yeah.
again this month, probably, if I'm being honest. Especially now, because I will actively. I'll try to be an observant person. I'll try to actively pay more attention to Nate, uh, and the things that might make his reactions and things more warranted, so I can have more appreciation for the writing.
Oh yeah, and there was this whole coffee machine thing. Remember, like Keely was handing out coffee machines, and he asked for one. She said, "Oh no, they're only for players." Or she said, I don't know if she said that, but it was only for players. Like none of the coaches also
Right, the
did
way
not
that it
get
was
a
like
coffee
for
machine.
endorsement thing for
Yeah,
players, not
yeah.
yeah. And so those things, as we call them out now, it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Um, but no, in the moment, it definitely felt a little. I do. I hated when he stared in the camera. Why do you gotta look in the
True.
camera? Why do you gotta do that? That's a
Don't need to
very
say.
minor thing, but that's what you left me on. I don't care for that at all.
Yeah, I mean, you could have just left his back of head. Like we all knew who
We
it
knew
was.
exactly who that
Also, the guy was
was.
whispering to him.
And the guy who is whispering to him is evil. So we've got a pretty good grasp of who
Yeah.
it is.
Oh man, f that guy. I mean, you're supposed to hate him. But.
You are, and he's well done too. It's just is like you are supposed to hate him, and he's written to hate, but it still doesn't feel. Again, maybe a hair extreme, but not unreal, I guess.
Oh, that feels what? Entitled rich white guy like that. No, that's after a
I'm gonna have
divorce.
I'm gonna have tall buildings with my name on them. I'm gonna have long wavy locks of thick golden hair.
Have a show with my kids where we fire people.
Or fire people. And that's what Rupert is. He's what we would be if we were, billionaires or whatever. So yeah, those minor cons, relative cons, but it's another con could even be it feels like it should be a family friendly show, but then they're dropping f-bombs and lots of sex references all over. But I don't have kids, so no offense, Chris. It's not really a con in my house.
Yeah, my one con, which is a con from last season, more soccer, please.
More soccer.
I feel like I get the sense that they're not going to give us more soccer. But
is that the hardest part to film acting wise, or
honestly, that's the hardest part to film, just at all, because they can only. So Zach Braff mentioned this because he directed like episode 2 of last season, and like they have to be careful with that field. They can't let on certain equipment, and he like created this new wheel dolly system they were able to film on. So maybe that's why there's not as much stuff on the field, but also that's just not, I think, the director's forte of directing action. So I don't think we'll ever have.
Different. I mean, it's essentially it's not a fight scene, like it's not action in the traditional sense, but it's like you're trying to recreate fast-paced action in a believable way.
Yeah. Learn soccer rules and how it's done. Now learn how to film it.
So, sort of unrelated is that I went to the Kansas City Women's Professional. So it is American. What is it? National Women's Soccer League Professional Women's Soccer in Kansas City. Went to my first one, and I don't think I'm going to be switching my like sport fanship anytime soon. Like they did win. It's a nice atmosphere, and everybody there seemed like they had a great time, great fans, all that stuff. It's like, okay, I'm not a soccer fan, but do I want to see more soccer in this TV show? Yes, absolutely. Because it's the highlights. They're not showing you the
exactly. Yeah, I'm not
showing you the first 30 minutes
like,
where one team is just
that
holding
season.
possession.
Like, we watched this one review from this podcast. It's not even related to Ted Lasso. They said they wanted more soccer. You know what? Screw it. Let's give him more soccer.
One guy seemed like he knew way too much about Bill Lawrence. Kind of freaked me out. And I thought, well, maybe if I don't do this, I don't know what he'll do to me. Chris, any other cons worth noting before we?
Oh, no. So we can move on to the rating.
Do you want to rate do you want to compare season 1 v season 2, or do you just want to
I
rate
do because
other
I was
people's?
actually about to inadvertently compare it to season one. So I'll
Okay,
go ahead and rate. All
let's
right.
rate first. Yeah.
I'm gonna give. Hmm, I'm gonna give season two probably a 9 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this season. I enjoyed it a lot more than last season. I feel like last season, I was like, yeah, this show's good. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, it's not like the best thing ever, and I still don't think it's the best thing ever now, but it's more of the best thing ever. I think this season is better than last season. Granted, it's growing on from things of last season, but I still think it's better than last season. Um, yeah, and again, everyone should still watch the show.
100% agree. Firmly in 9 out of 10 territory. Like, it's not perfect, but 9 out of 10 in my mind. Like, 9 out of 10 in my mind is still like what is that, 90th percentile or whatever. Is like not a lot of shows
Yeah,
touch this, and I think it has that kind of mass appeal where most people should go. I don't think it will ever. It may not even be the kind of show. I'm not even going to pretend that in 10 years maybe we won't really care about it or that it has like staying power. I don't know, but right now it
I
is.
think it will have staying power.
I hope it
I'm pretty
does.
confident it will.
I hope it
Although I will say
does.
this, Mitch, not to interrupt you, but I believe from what Bill Lawrence has been saying, like next season's the last season. Like he doesn't have this long planned out thing, which
Chris and I tend to like shows that end after 3 seasons. What do we care?
yeah, it doesn't doesn't have to be long.
I'm just saying I'm not going to pretend I can understand like the cultural impact that it's going to have long term or whatever, and I don't want to. But like right now in the current environment and the foreseeable future, like I think most people would appreciate watching this show. And yeah, 9 out of 10, not perfect, but it's extremely good, extremely charming. And Chris, you did call it, and I'm not trying to be contrarian. And I thought I would like season 1 better than season 2. And I have every reason to think that that should be true or whatnot. But just all these characters growing on me, and some really powerful stuff. I watched it with my wife. It's like my wife and I, we, not to brag, we have a great relationship. Love everything about my wife, but we don't really bond over TV shows. If there's one place where we're super different, like I'm in here watching happy cartoons, and she's over there watching, what is it, unsolved murders and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm same Shawn, but probably worse.
exactly.
I don't
But
remember the last time I heard my wife laugh at a fictional TV show.
but so when we can sit down and watch a show where it's not a compromise at all, it's not, well, I kind of want a comedy and you want crime television,
Yeah,
so we're watching Psych. It's like, no, this is not a compromise. This is like we're both in 9 out of 10 territory on how we like the show.
oh,
We're
nice.
laughing together, shedding a little tears together, and that just, if there's one place where we don't converge a lot, it is in like TV. And so this season very special to me, and the characters outgrow me. So I think I do have to give a little bit of a nod to season 2, even though it does kind of defy the logic that my head wants to apply.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm growing. Maybe I have more than one feeling. Maybe there is like another half of a feeling floating around in there. Probably not, but maybe. That's what I got, Chris. I'm really glad
It hurt my feeling.
you hurt my feeling. Worse, I forgave him. His relationship with Phoebe and those kids too. Kid that in the early
Oh
part
yeah,
of the season when he's
and then
coaching.
they're playing with your emotions. Like he's gonna like mess around with the teacher because they have a good chemistry and stuff.
Even the way that ended up, it was so real in the sense of like they came out and there was honesty and there was disappointment, but there wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not a heartbreaker. It was not a drama. It was like a real feeling thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's great. I loved it. So anyway, we hope you don't hate the fact that Ted, Chris, I did look. Our season 1 review is like a really super duper low viewed.
It's okay.
And so I hope people don't just outright hate it. We just got to have a few of these stashed up because the holidays are crazy, and I would rather put out something than nothing. So we hope you all don't hate it, because obviously we enjoy the show, and I think it's certainly enjoyable to me to take a one-off opportunity to try to convince other people to watch it. And in the same way, in the same reasons I try to convince people to watch Avatar, because it's really good. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, watchers / listeners, for your patience. We hope you didn't hate it. In the meantime, my name's Chris. That's my friend. No, my name's not Chris. I'm not Chris at all. That's Chris down there. Chris Ford, a.k.a. The Objective Geek. I have a brother named Chris. I don't know. That's pretty close. He looks kind of like me. Sorry, when I say
He's black.
When I have a brother named Chris, I'm not talking about Chris being black. I'm talking about my actual biological white brother, Chris.
Or maybe he's adopted.
No, we actually look quite a bit alike. So if we're adopted, we're both adopted.
Okay.
So,
no, well, that's good to know.
That is right. We both came from the same mom and dad, one way or the other. Anyway, the person down there is Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. My name's Shawn Taylor. I'll put all the contacty stuff down in the description. I don't know if there's like a holiday or something by the time we publish this. If it is, happy whatever that holiday is. And
have a happy day.
Happy day. If it's not a happy holiday, just have a regular happy day. And we will talk to you guys later. See ya.